here's our video on three-dimensional figures today. So we can also say 3D, three-dimensional. So before we talk about three-dimensional, let's make sure we understand what a polygon is. So polygons are shapes that are two-dimensional, 2D. So 2D is flat. They have no curves and no openings. So we said like a circle, remember from last time we talked, we said a circle is not a polygon because it has curves. So if we had a shape like this, well, we're not going to say that's a shape because it has an opening. Well, it's a shape, but it's not a polygon. So a polygon has to have a flat shape like a square, like a triangle, like an octagon. It's two-dimensional. But polyhedrons, that's what we're going to talk about today, polyhedrons. Polyhedrons are three-dimensional. So, for example, there's our one dimension, or two-dimensional, that's our two-dimensional rectangle. And if we make it three-dimensional, well, there it is. We have our three dimensions. So in three dimensions, you only can see three sides. You can see the front, you can see the top, you can see the right. Or you can see the back, if we show the back, but if we're showing the back, then maybe that's the front, right? So that's why it's three-dimensional. We only can see three sides at a time. But we know with this prism, by the way, this is a prism, this prism has 6 sides. We can only see 3. So let's just talk about that. We'll talk about the 3D figures. And we're going to talk about 3D figures that are polyhedrons. And today, we'll talk about prisms. Because there's also triangles that are pyramids, right? Not pyramids today. We'll just talk prism. All right. So the first prism we'll talk about is the one I just drew before. This is a rectangular prism. So if you want to draw along with me, you can make a rectangle. Then you can do this any way you want, right? You can have these angles. Make sure the angles are the same. And connect the angles. And for the side, don't bring it all the way down. Bring it enough where you can make the same angle that was on top here. And look back, and it doesn't have to be perfect. So that is a rectangular, this is rectangular. It's a rectangular prism. There we go, rectangular prism. And each side that we see, remember it's three-dimensional, so we can only see 3 at a time, but each side is a polygon, right? So this rectangular prism, which is three-dimensional, and we said it's a polyhedron, So the polyhedron, there are many polyhedrons, and this one is a rectangular prism. So each rectangular prism has polygons as sides. And the sides are called faces. So we'll just say faces. And again, we have a front, we have a top, we have a back, we have a left and right. Right? And we have a bottom, right? If we have a top, we have to have a bottom. And where the lines meet, and we talked about this in other videos, where the lines meet, right? The point there is the vertex. Right? And the plural for vertex is vertices. How many vertices do you think this rectangular prism has? Well, there's one here, there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. There's one there, there's one there, and there's one there, and there's one you can't see. It's in the back, right? If we draw a dotted line, it'll be right there, but you can't see it. So there's 6 vertices. 8 vertices. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 vertices, and there's 6 faces. 6 faces. The other thing to know is this right here. The lines are called edges. Alright, so again, there's 8 vertices, 6 faces. And each face is a polygon. So that's a rectangular prism. Let's look at other prisms. So, you can have triangles in prisms. So what do you think this will be called? So when you're looking at prisms, you're looking at, there's going to be two shapes that will identify what it is, and those are the bases. So the base is a triangle. So this will be, you got it, a triangular prism. Now it's not a pyramid. So this is a pyramid, right? A pyramid has, most of the shapes on a pyramid are triangles. In fact, in a pyramid, every shape has to be a triangle, except the base doesn't have to be, but it could be. But we'll talk more about pyramids. So again, this is a pyramid, not a prism. This is a prism, triangular prism. How many vertices do you think this triangular prism has? Well, it has 1, 2, 3 there, and 1, 2, 3 there. You can, right? They're all there. There's 6 vertices. 6 vertices, the plural of vertex. And how many sides does it have? Well, we have a left side, we have a right side, we have a top, and there's a bottom that we can't see. When you can't see it, sometimes they put dotted lines to show that it's there, but you just can't see it. So we have left, right, top, and bottom. Is there one other thing missing? What's missing is the back, right? So there are 5 sides. 5 sides. So maybe you can see it a little clearer if I draw it another way. What if I draw it like this? Sometimes you can see it like this, right? It's the same thing. We have a front now, and then there's a back that you can't see. There's a left you can't see, and then there's a right, and then there's the base, the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bottom is 5. 5 sides. Triangular prism. Okay, so if you know, if you can identify the one shape that's different, you know what type it is, because the rest will be either squares or rectangles. And by the way, talking about a square, this could be a square. It looks like a rectangular prism, and it could be a rectangular prism, but if they're all the same, then this is just a cube. You've heard that before, a cube. And a cube means that they're all the same. And a cube is a prism. Okay, so if I draw a polygon like this, and you should know some polygons by now, right? That's a hexagon. Hexagon is 6 sides. We can make a prism out of it. So I made my hexagon, then I made this rectangle. If you want to draw along with me. Then we can take this point here, bring it down, don't bring it all the way down. Bring it where the angle looks like the angle we just made on top there. And then we have our hexagonal, because it's a hexagon. You can see the hexagon shape. So we have our hexagonal prism. And how many vertices do you think this hexagonal prism has? Well, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 on the bottom. It has 12 vertices. And how many faces does it have? Well, we can see 3 here. We can see a left, a front, and a right. But it also has another side here, another side here, another side here. So that's 6. It has a top and a bottom. So it has 8 faces. Remember that those faces are polygons, right? And all these polygons make a polyhedron, and this one is a hexagonal. So you always look for the base shape, like a hexagon. See, what shape do you think this is? What prism do you think it is? So if I did a prism like this, right? What do you think it is? Well, let's look at the shape. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. What do you think that is? Well, a 5-sided figure is a pentagon, right? So this is a pentagonal prism. Looks like a house or a shed. Right? And it doesn't have to look like that. As long as it's 5 sides, you know, you can have something like this. Sometimes you see that. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes pentagons look like that. There's a pentagon in Washington. It's called the Pentagon. Why? Because it's the Pentagon. It's shaped like a pentagon. Let's do it a little better. So you can, sometimes pentagons could look like this, right? And then we can make our shape. Right? And you can't see all of it, right? So let's look at this. What shape? You know this is a very famous shape. We all know this shape. What shape is that? How many sides? It's a stop sign, right? We know a stop sign has 8 sides. So that'll be octagonal. Right? And you should know the prefixes, right? So oct means 8. It used to be the 8th month before it changed to the 10th month, right? It used to be the 8th month because oct means 8. And for extra credit, a long time ago, the ancient Romans, and remember, we get our months from ancient Rome. January and February were not counted. March was the first month of the year. That's why October was the 8th month. And then when we changed January, it became the first month of the year. Everything got added by 2. So oct is 8. Nov is 9. And you don't say a novagonal, you say a nonagonal. So we would use non for 9, nonagonal. Nonagonal is 9 sides. Right? And for 10 sides, it's decagonal. A deca, like December, decagonal. And there's much more. You can keep going. And for 7, let's put 7 over here. So hept is 7. So a heptagonal will be 7. We already did hex. That's 6. Penta, right? Penta would be 5. And then for 4-sided figures, it depends on what type of 4-sided figure it is. Like the rectagon, not the rectagon, the rectangle is a rectagonal prism. You can have a square prism, which is a cube, and so forth. And the triangle is 3.